You can write your property's will on a simple and plain paper. It doesn't require stamped paper at all. Still, many times you tend to make minor mistakes which can make your will invalid. Take the case of Dayal Babu for example. He made his family's will last year. He gave away all the land and assets to his children. Dayal Babu made the will but did not get the witnesses to sign the will. He thought writing his wishes on paper was enough, but now his family faces issues. He was wrong. After his death, disputes arose in his family over property. His family took the dispute to court. Like Dayal Babu, there are others who make mistakes while writing down their family's will. That's why we will discuss those mistakes that you need to avoid when you would also one day make will for your family. First of all, let's look at what exactly is a will. A will is a document that dictates how a person's assets will be distributed after his death. The person who creates or writes the will is called the testator. The person mentioned in the will who would receive the property gets the assets of the family. A will can be prepared on plain paper, but it must have the signature of the testator. Many people don't sign in the presence of the witnesses, or they take the witnesses' signatures and later on they leave their signature on the will. Such errors can create difficulties later on. The testator here should sign in the presence of witnesses. That is, immediately after the testator's own signature, at least 2 witnesses should sign on the will. What that will do is that will establish that the individual has signed in the presence of witnesses. The witnesses will affirm this and they will leave their signatures too in the will. Now, ideally, one of the 2 witnesses should be a doctor. Why is that? Well, that will help you avoid disputes like when the will was made, the testator was not a mentally ill person, etc. Moving on now, is registration of will mandatory? Well, registration is not mandatory, but it is necessary for authenticity of the will. Many people usually only notarize the will, which is not sufficient. However, registering the will makes it more robust and assists in property-related legal disputes. Now, to register the will, the testator needs to go to the registrar's office and sign it. This confirms that the will is not fake. Selecting an executor is crucial. Why is that? Because you see, for executing the will, it is essential for distributing assets according to the individual's wishes. So, consider appointing a close friend or a relative as the executor. However, make sure that the executor is not somebody who has to gain something from that will you create. Moving on, provide detailed information about the distribution of assets among legal heirs to avoid confusions later on. If you are creating a will today, specify how and to whom your property should pass on during your lifetime. So, avoid committing mistakes like Dayal Babu and be mindful of details like signatures given in the will. You can always update your will from time to time. The last updated will made by the testator will be valid. Seek legal help if needed, as wills can face challenges in court. Recording a video while making of the will can reduce legal hurdles. Mention in the will if someone is intentionally excluded from getting a share in the property.